Someone told me I was lucky once, and I just wanted to disappear. Let me take you back to that moment for a second. I was leaving the grocery store, and I ran into a friend that I had previously worked with. We hadn't seen each other in a while, but we were friends on social media. And on the outside, nothing was wrong. That was the strangest part. There was nothing I could point to and say that is the problem. I think that that's what made me want to disappear. Because if everything looks fine and you still feel like this, you start to wonder if the problem is just you. It took me a long time to understand that it wasn't. She meant it kindly, and she wasn't wrong. But if you've ever had a good life on paper, but still felt lost inside, I need you to hear the rest of this, because everyone keeps telling women our age that we have to reinvent ourselves. And I don't really think that's true. You don't have to reinvent yourself at 50. It's not a requirement. I think what you can do is something that's much quieter than that. So let me show you. From the outside, there was a lot that I was grateful for. I loved our house, our neighborhood. I loved my husband, my son. I had a career that I had built that I was very proud of, and I was grateful for it. But I also sometimes just felt awful. And that confused me for a very long time. I thought that the gratitude I had was supposed to cancel out the struggle. I could list all the good things in my life, so why didn't I feel better? And then I'd feel guilty on top of everything else. You know the loop, right? You feel bad, and then you feel bad for feeling bad. And then you feel bad because you realize that there's somebody else out there that has it worse than you. So you shouldn't be feeling bad or feeling bad for feeling bad. You know the loop. Let me tell you what that actually looked like. It was just a regular day, an early morning, and I was folding laundry. And then it hit me, the loop. It hit me hard. Nothing dramatic had happened. That was almost the worst part. I would have this good life happening all around me and this quiet ache underneath it all, and no story that explained why. So I decided that I wasn't grateful enough. I know now that it did not mean that at all. I did that to myself for years. Had the good marriage, the healthy son, the roof over my head. Why do I feel so lost? Why can't I just be happy? Here's what I eventually understood. Gratitude and struggle are not opposites. You can love your life and know that something in it needs attention. You can be grateful for what you have and still grieve what's changed. You can appreciate the woman that you've been and admit that the way you've been living doesn't quite fit right anymore. And I don't think that that means that you need to throw your current life away and become somebody else. You don't need a huge reinvention. It might just mean that you need to start listening. The sentence that changed everything for me was simple. I am grateful for my life, and I'm allowed to find it hard. That little word "and" matters to me. I can be grateful and tired, grateful and unsure, grateful and grieving, grateful and ready for something to change. Both things can be true without one making the other one less real or less valuable. I want you to really sit with that word for a second. And, not but erases the first thing. When you say, I love my life, but I'm struggling, the struggle swallows the gratitude. When you say, I love my life and I'm struggling, they both get to stay. They both get to be true. That one small change from but to and is one of the gentlest things you can do for yourself. You stop making your feelings compete with each other. You just let them both exist. I wish somebody had told me that sooner. I want to say something that I've said before because I think it matters when we're talking about being unhappy and unsettled. During some of the hardest seasons of my life, I had to get help, and I did. I had a counselor. I saw my physician often. I took medications when I needed them. I was doing whatever I needed at the time to keep my head above water and to keep moving forward. one step at a time. I don't look back at that woman as somebody that I need to erase. I learned things there. I made mistakes there, but I also found tools that I still use every day. All of it counts. Those aren't discarded versions of me. They're evidence of what I've been through, what I have accomplished, what I have survived. And that's one of the biggest shifts that I'm making in how I look at my own story now. The hard seasons count. The good seasons count. The things I'm proud of count. The mistakes count. What worked counts. And what didn't work also counts. I don't have to erase any of it or reinvent myself in order to move forward. I get to decide what I carry with me, what needs to change, and what I'm ready to try next. So if you're grateful and still struggling, I'm not going to tell you to count your blessings harder. You already know what your blessings are. What I am going to tell you is that discomfort is information. So instead of asking, what is wrong with me? Maybe just ask, what is this trying to tell me? Because here's what discomfort is often trying to say. Sometimes it is saying you're tired, and you've been tired for a lot longer than you've admitted it. Sometimes it's saying that you're grieving something that did not come with a funeral, a role that ended, a version of your days that quietly went away. Sometimes it is saying that a relationship needs attention, or that you have not done a single thing just for you in a very long time. None of those mean your life is broken. They mean you are paying attention. And that's a good thing. Sometimes the balance of your life shifted so slowly that you didn't notice it until you couldn't recognize yourself anymore. That's okay. You don't have to judge yourself for noticing. Noticing is where rebuilding actually starts. Rebuilding is not demolition. You don't have to tear your life down to admit that something needs attention. Usually it starts much quieter than that. It starts the moment that you finally tell the truth about what's really working and what's not. This is what I mean when I say you don't have to reinvent yourself. You don't need to become a stranger to yourself, a whole new person. You need to listen to the woman who's already here, the one that has all of the evidence and all of the experience. You can be thankful for the life that you've built and decide that parts of it need rebuilding. Those truths can be side by side. So here's one small thing you can try this week. Finish this sentence out loud or on paper. I am grateful for blank, and I am allowed to find blank hard. That is it. You're not solving anything. You're just letting both halves of the truth into the same room. The first time I did it, I'll admit, it felt strange to say. Now it is one of the most honest things I know how to do. If you're somewhere between the life you've already built and whatever comes next, that's what we talk about here. So I hope you'll subscribe and I hope you'll come back. But until then, I want you to keep going because your next chapter is worth it.